Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Campaign 2016 segment tonight. Ohio Governor John Kasich talked foreign policy today in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Among other things, the governor wants ground forces to confront ISIS. He's opposed to the nuke deal with Iran, and he thinks we should be helping Ukraine against Putin. Joining us now from Myrtle Beach is Governor Kasich. All right, let's take ISIS first. You want ground troops to go into Syria to get these killers? Is that what you want?
Well, Bill, I don't want to go alone. I've been calling for this for a long time. I would like our allies to join us. We need to reestablish those relationships. But with ISIS, you either pay me now or you're going to pay me a heck of a lot later. And look, you read the articles over the weekend about them raping these young girls.
Awful.
And, I mean, it's an attack on Western civilization, and we've got to go and we've got to erode them and destroy them, plain and simple.
I'm your Secretary of State after you get elected, all right? And that would be a wise move to appoint me immediately to be Secretary of State. So I come in there and I
consider that, Bill.
President Kasich, okay, how many American troops do we want to commit to getting ISIS so we can tell our allies what we're going to do and convince them to help us? How many?
Well, you're the Secretary of State. You're not Secretary of Defense, Bill. And look, I've been in the business a long time. I spent 18 years on the Defense Committee. And it's up to a civilian leader to make a determination that we're going to go.
You're a civilian leader.
To the military.
How many troops?
I'm not going to tell you how many troops until I have the military experts and the military tell me. But I wouldn't just keep delaying. I would get the coalition and I would go.
Let's assume 10,000, arbitrary number, could change. 10,000 U.S. Special Forces ready to go. And you know, and I've said this before, General Patton in the Third Army, using tanks and all that, could wipe out ISIS in a week. 1 week, they're all through in Syria. You go in, we know where they are, there's no jungle to hide in, bang, they're through. A lot of civilian casualties, though. All right, so you get your coalition, you get Britain, France, maybe a few others. Germany probably wouldn't give you anything, you know how they are.
Germany.
All right, they wouldn't get, maybe they give you three soldiers. All right, you get some Saudis, you get some of the other Gulf states, they might put in a little, but we're going to have to lead. We're going to have to lead that ground assault against ISIS. And you know the left in this country do not want to do that. So you immediately have a cacophony, a debate, very intense feelings. Correct?
Well, Bill, that's the leader's not putting his finger in the air and taking a poll. I think the country understands as they read more and more of these attacks, not just what's happening there, but it's really an attack on Western civilization. And so, you know, a commander-in-chief, you know, I've been in politics. I've run many times. I started out as governor, not very popular, won an overwhelming re-election. It's your job to do things when you're a political leader.
Persuade.
It's not your job to sit there and worry about, no, you just have to make the case. And I don't think the case would be that hard to make.
Okay.
But I will tell you this, Bill, I don't believe in nation building. I think once we do our job, our military should be mobile, it should be lethal, we should take care of business and come home.
I agree.
This idea of converting people to our way of life, I think, is not the right approach.
All right, I think you're right on that, but I think it's going to be a very difficult sell to the American people to get ground troops in there, but we'll see. Now, Iranian nuke deal, Congress not going to approve it, but they're not going to have enough votes to override a presidential veto.
They might. Don't count that out.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Hey, listen, Schumer coming our way on my way. I don't want this deal to pass for two reasons. One is what's going to end up is they're going to have a nuke and then they're going to have a stronger economy, and we need to leave the sanctions on.
Okay, but
and
you know as well as I do that the president can override and make this treaty without Congress's approval, and he's going to because part of his legacy.
Bill, what you got to do is, no, it's an override vote, and so the vote is not them turning it down, it's their ability to override.
But it doesn't matter.
Now,
they don't have to approve the treaty. He can do it unilaterally. Obama can make this nuke deal unilaterally. This is all for show, and it's a good show because the American people should have a say through their representatives. I agree. But you don't make the nuke deal. Iran gets the nuke. You'd have to go to war to stop them, and that's the argument for making the deal. And you say?
Well, I say that's a fallacious argument. The simple fact of the matter is you need to squeeze them. Iran may, over time, ultimately get something like that. But what we're doing is we're giving them permission to continue to develop things and at the same time freeing up their economy so they can continue to support people like Hamas and Hezbollah. And if you listen to our allied friends, Bill, early on, they didn't want this because this is going to empower Iran to undermine their very way of life and even their governments by taking this money through their growth in their economy, and I believe keeping the pressure on at least makes these young people more and more uncomfortable with the Ayatollah. We should make it extremely difficult for them, and the difficulty which represents the spread of this nuclear material. You saw where ISIS may have chemical weapons. Imagine if they could get their hands on some of this nuclear
stuff,
material,
right.
what they would
and
do
that's
with
the
it.
argument. But I got to go. But this is fascinating. Of course, we'll have you back. But number one, Putin, and number two, China not going to cooperate with squeezing Iran. Not going to do it. All right. And you saw the European nations couldn't get in there fast enough. And so President Obama has allowed those sanctions to go by the wayside. It's going to be very hard to reimpose them. I don't believe it could happen. But anyway, Governor.
Bill, here's what we do. Wait, hold on, Bill. You put our sanctions on, and there's a secondary. If a French oil company wants to sell to Iran, if we put sanctions on, then they don't do business in America. That's more powerful than people think.
All right. Governor, we'll have you back soon, and we appreciate the straight talk. Thank you.